Hey everyone, Lisa here. Hashtag 78 days, and it is day 26. Day 26. And I'm actually filming back to back this morning because I was sick yesterday. I missed a day. So today I'm on to the Three of Pentacles. And I've actually been focusing in these last few videos on Rider-Waite-Smith clones because I'm intrigued by the way in which Pixie's card envisions. I'm just realizing this band-aid is kind of gross looking. Apologies for that. This is like oh, these daily videos, you're just, I'm like grubby, I'm snotty, I'm like, I cut my finger. Just let me just have a sip of tea. Okay. Pixie, Rider-Waite-Smith. Yeah, here we are. The ways in which Pixie envisions in the kind of classic imagery, you'll notice this is, by the way, the Llewellyn Classic, and it is kind of a cartoony deck. A really different feel from pretty much any other deck I have. I don't know, it's growing on me. The sort of vibrancy of the colors are nice, and there's a kind of straightforwardness about this deck, and I can see the ways in which for certain clients it would be quite helpful and reassuring. I haven't read with it. I just received it. I've been exploring decks, really straightforward clone decks of late. Anyway, but more of that in another video. Okay, let's see if I can get through this video. So I'm intrigued by the way that Pixie is envisioning through the Pentacles this kind of conundrum of how we humans can live in the natural world, and sort of envisioning what might be man's discovery or evolution toward a kind of second Eden, a second kind of state in the garden, where if you think about the original Judeo-Christian myth, we being naughty and not obeying God means that we are now condemned to live lives of suffering, and suffering is all about labor. We're going to have to work to live, and that labor gets expressed by the work we do in the natural world, the kind of labor that we see in the Eight of Pentacles, and then in the Three of Pentacles, which I'll be talking about today, sort of the more creative labor of that card, the more artistic or expressive labor of that card, but also in the labor of generation, of creating more humans, which involves the literal labor of a woman's childbirth and the pain and suffering of that. The Ten of Pentacles gives us an image of human generations that's completely harmonious. So in many ways, the Pentacles are kind of telling the story of what a second Eden might entail. How can we be in the natural world in a way, or how can we actually just be in a way that doesn't entail suffering? It's important to remember, though, that the emblem of this card, don't forget, pentacles come from coins. They come historically. This is a card that is about the kind of exchanging of energy that's represented through financial transaction. And part of the drama of the Pentacles is that we live in a world where we tend to think about the exchange of energy that is at the heart of what it means to live and also to die. We tend to think about that as something that entails gain and loss that can be kind of weighed out, right? That we can measure through things like the balance, the scales in the Six of Pentacles. So, this is a suit that is drawing attention to the ways in which we have monetized life, nature. We've turned it into profit, into gain and loss. So where does the Three of Pentacles fit into all of that? So, most traditionally, people interpret this card from the Rider-Waite system as being a card that's about kind of mastery, creative mastery, mastery of labor, but in the context of teamwork, in the context of collaboration, in the context of the great masterpieces that we might identify with late medieval cathedrals. So, you know, these cathedrals that are kind of famously built anonymously, and yet there are, you know, skilled artisans behind every fresco and every stained glass window, and some of those artisans, we know their names, but many of them we do not. What's interesting in this depiction, so the artist is Eugene Smith, right? And Barbara Moore's commentary kind of plays this out. What's interesting in this depiction is the way in which we see both a vision of labor as collective and collaborative, and also labor as completely individual. So, you know, the typical Rider-Waite imagery just focuses on kind of this kind of decorative stained glass piece here, but in this deck we have, you know, the creation of this sculpture, and the sculpture, you know, the stance of the sculpture, sort of person reaching toward the heavens, is really a, you know, it's a sculpture that's about individual aspiration. So I think about the Three of Pentacles as, especially as it's figured in Eugene Smith's imagery, as being a card that's inviting us to think about the relationship between our own individual aspirations. We're like, I want to do something, I want to make something, I want to manifest something, I want to make money, I want to make things, I want to make babies, whatever it is that we're wanting to manifest. We think about this as individual expression on the one hand, and yet all of that individual activity is always, always grounded and anchored within a collaborative, communal framework. I mean, we never do this alone. I was thinking about this the other day because, you know, I was reading a book, and you know how books often have an acknowledgments section at the front, and the acknowledgments always say things like, I couldn't have done this alone, I want to thank the following people. You know, so you have a book which is all about a single author. You know, I'm getting set to write another book. Literally me, Lisa, I'm writing another book on Mindful Tarot, right? I've talked about this in other videos. It's like, this is my book, my expression. And yet, acknowledgement sections are always saying, yeah, I didn't do it on my own. So how do we manifest in our lives this nurturing of our individual aspirations to create, to strive, to live, while recognizing and honoring and furthering the deep collaborative energy that makes that individual aspiration possible? And that's even more important when we think about the ways in which our individual aspirations affect not just are impacted not just by communities of other people who may have helped us in concrete ways, but are influenced by our living on a planet that has, like, ecosystems, you know. So literally, like, where did the stone come from, you know? What quarry was used? Like, how does my literal individual aspiration literally affect the planet, rely upon the planet's resources? Pentacles are asking us to think about that. Okay, before I cough or drip any more this morning, I am going to say goodbye and thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your practice, and may you feel blessed. May you be living lives that feel creative and abundant, lives that feel enriched by community. Bye, everyone.